The news was very, very, very shocking.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take life for granted, and you think, founding president is always going to be here forever. But when it came, it truly hit me hard.
Yeah.
And if it hit me hard, I can only imagine how hard it even hit the widow, Meme Kovambo, the children, the Honorable Tony Nuyoma and Saki, and the rest of the Nuyoma families. So, and I can only imagine what the whole Namibian nation is going through. I can only imagine my comrades within the SWAPO party.
Yeah.
It was a very profound and painful blow that hit me in the heart.
Yeah.
I could never really remember any day he wasn't around ever since I've been alive, literally.
Yeah.
Because coming, sharing the historical heritage with him. And I believe that in President Nuyoma, I think everybody sees themselves.
Yeah.
There is a piece of every Namibian in President Nuyoma. Of course, this is the icon, the most outstanding hero of the Namibian revolution ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll never have another. He's the president of presidents. He's the founder. He's the revolutionary. And therefore, that news coming to us at that moment truly was hard hitting.
I see that. I mean, when you see that each Namibian see themselves in one way or another in President Nuyoma, maybe that is also best captured by the fact that even the tributes transcending political divide, people in the opposition declaring him as their personal hero. Of course, some of these people came from SWAPO itself with other parties, but still, and the international reaction that we've gotten, it says a lot about him.
It is. And sometimes the people say, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
President Nuyoma was a global iconic figure. The world is shaken. And when you see the outpouring of grief and bereavement being brought on to the Namibian nation by the international community, by even opposing, communities such as various leaders of our opposition, they do know and they realize that President Nuyoma's image, President Nuyoma's visions far outstrip any other formation. And he stood for a vision that was larger than life, that was larger than humanity itself. Because you are talking of a leader who was part of the revolutions, who not only was part of the revolution as others were part of the revolution, he is the founder of the last part of our revolution, which brought about freedom and independence. That no one can take away from him. He is the embodiment of our revolution when he took up arms, inspire a generation of younger people. He was only in his 20s when they created the OPO, the OPC, and eventually transformed it into a formidable national institution, SWAPO, to fight the aggressive apartheid regime of South Africa, which was governing over Namibia, and free the people from the yoke of colonial oppression and dehumanization. So he was the founder, he was the commander-in-chief, he was the leader of the revolution. He led from the front, and therefore his purpose, his mission, and his vision far outperform any other division that is between us as political actors. And therefore, because of that, I believe that he will transcend through time. And such a hero never truly die. That hero will continue to internally affect us and will continue to internally be with us, will continue to internally guide us throughout all our lives and the life that we pass on to our children and our grandchildren, and the perpetual survival and existence of the Republic of Namibia.
Yeah.
I love you more than I love myself. I want you more than anyone else.
Information is power.
Yeah.
And when the nation is better informed, the nation live with an opportunity, or will have an opportunity to make best decisions. Now, the purpose really is to inform the nation that, of course, we are mourning, and we are mourning not just an ordinary person.
Yeah.
We are mourning a person of the caliber, as you have described it, the founding president and father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Semsafi Shuna Nujoma, whose gap we cannot fill, of course. And that's the reason why government then decided, through cabinet, that we have to urge the nation. We're actually appealing to the nation to conduct itself in a manner that best prescribe to an environment of mourning. Now, when we are mourning ordinarily, either friends or our loved ones, we behave in a certain style, and this style would not be associated with celebrations. And that's why we believe that we would understand that at this time, as we are mourning, for us to accord the best respect and honor to the departing president, or departed president rather, we should not associate ourselves with activities that are otherwise to be seen as people celebrating while we are mourning. And these activities could be activities like partying. But we are saying, look, there are activities that are pre-planned. Activities such as weddings, and I want to emphasize weddings. Even in most of the traditions, especially in the African context, if you are to marry, to wed on that specific day, because it's a pre-planned event, it's not something that you probably just stand up in an hour and say, I'm going to conduct a wedding now. So we say those pre-planned events must be allowed to continue, but we must also exercise our own judgment to see whether this activity would be deemed by others as sort of a celebration, or will it be deemed as an activity that otherwise couldn't have been avoided. Now, like weddings, even if the parents of the brides and bridegroom die on the same day, traditionally that wedding will continue. So we are saying we are not preventing that from continuing. A wedding of that nature, or a wedding, should be able to take place because it's pre-planned, and it also ascribes to our nature of who we are as Africans. Now we have activities like sporting activities. And I want to use the phrase sporting because they are different in nature and in type. So we have schools, for instance, who have sporting activities during this time of the year as part of their curriculum.
Yeah.
So it's actually part of their educational programs. These two, we say they should be allowed to continue. So I heard that some schools probably, upon hearing different messages of the nature of discouraging entertainments and or commemorative activities, they also discontinued sporting activities at schools. No, I'm now putting it to the nation that these are not the activities we are stopping. This should be allowed to continue because they are in-house activities. They are at school, and they are part of the education, and education must continue. And there are also activities of sporting activities involving people preparing themselves to go and participate in international events, for instance. We say these activities must be allowed to continue, but what we don't want to encourage is a situation where we have spectators, clapping hands, doing whatever, because spectators also behave in a certain way as a matter of fact, and as a condition of that kind of environment. When you are watching a sport, you probably behave in a certain manner that might be interpreted as also either celebrating the side that is seemingly winning and so on. And we are saying no spectators should be discouraged to attend those activities. But the sporting people, some of them are even indoors. So we say no, those ones can be allowed to continue. And churches is very, very important also.
Yeah.
The church services must continue. They will definitely, they are not affected at all. And other activities could include, I said, okay, even funerals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people conducting their funerals are not interpreted as celebrating because they are also mourning. So those activities are allowed. Otherwise, we are simply saying as Namibians we should exercise our own thinking to determine what could be interpreted as partying, for instance, commemorative events, and so on, and refrain from them. But we are only appealing in respect of this period where we are mourning the departure of our founding president.
Yeah, yeah.
So in a nutshell, that is actually what the message is all about.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you, Minister, for that elaborate explanation.
So I want to take you back as to when you met him, when did you meet the founding father for the first time, and how did you become, you called it ADC,
Yes.
for you to be the one standing behind him because you are like his lifeguard. How did it become that? But just take us back as to when you met him for the first time, how was your meeting and how did you become that person who stood stand behind him?
Okay, first of all, I would like first to give condolences to the first lady
Yes.
of Namibia, Koko Kolambo Nurama, the wife of the late Comrade Dr. Semsha Fishuna Nurama, and the children, and also the entire family of Comrade Nurama, and the whole nation, because we are mourning a hero that above the heroes. There are heroes, and he is one of the above heroes. Myself, I call him Moses of Namibia, because he is the one who was commanding us, commanding the Plana combatants to fight heroically with vigor and determination to liberate the country. That's why the Boers accepted to come to the table for negotiation. If it was not those forces were commanded by Comrade Nurama, he said there will be no independence of Namibia. I want just to say this, that Comrade Nurama, I met him to be closer to him. I have been appointed because I was at the front fighting like the other soldiers. I was selected there, and by Comrade Secretary of Defense, Comrade late Peter Nanyemba, and the deputy army commander, Solomon Jesus Awala, the one who appointed me to go and work with him in Rwanda. So he came himself to fetch me in Lubango. I traveled with him from Lubango to Rwanda. One of his commanders to be with them there in the office of the president. I think I was one of the luckiest people to work with him because I used to see him a bit at a distance, but I find myself working closer to him. When I meet him, I think he was a bit arrogant when you can see him, but in the reality,
Yes.
he's a man of people.
Yes.
He likes his people, he likes his country, he is a fearless person. If you talk something not clear to his nation, Namibia,
Yes.
you will tell him,
Okay.
he will own you.
Okay.
Even those Europeans,
Yes.
they know him.
Okay.
When they try to mock on him, they will feel the pinch.
Yes.
He will tell them that he came there to fight for the people of Namibia to be liberated from the yoke of colonialism
Okay.
and apartheid.
Do you remember the year you first met him?
Yes, the first meet him, it was 1000, 1982.
Okay.
1982.
Okay.
Yes, at that time when I was called from the front
Yes.
to come and go to work with him.
Okay.
As I told you already that I've been appointed by
Let me know that you
the high
interrupted there. How did you feel? 1982, you are told go and be the person, to be close to the person who is fronting the liberation movement for Namibia. How did you feel? How did you feel being taken from the force?
I feel myself that I am one of the luckiest people in Namibia, have been identified to go and work with the president. And I pray to my Father in heaven to give me courage and determination to make sure that the life of the president of SWAPO and the commander-in-chief of the liberation, plan, not taken away by the forces of those dark forces, those who were trying to come and assassinate him.
Okay.
I was ready to sacrifice my life as the others soldiers, those who did it during the struggle at the front.
So, okay. As you indicated that you were willing to sacrifice your life for the founding father, tell us what was his message to those at the forefront at the battlefront. What was his commanding voice? What was his tone? What was he telling the people so that they can fight for the liberation for this country?
Comrade Nuyoma is a gallant fighter. He's a really commanding officer who has the voice to command. And he will be heard by his commanders. When he says something, they take it seriously. That's why even the boys, they know. If you find a planner combatant and you try to fight back, you will see that here there is people, those who are determined and they have taken the order of their president seriously. They have sacrificed their lives because they have been commanded by him. And we were disciplined because he is always having more discipline, and we emulate him.
Okay.
And he was a fearless commander and the president of SWAPO.
Okay.
He even go to the front, even if there is a fighting going on. He just say that we have to go there. Even if those who try to say the situation is not good, come with the president, he will tell them those who are on the front, at the front, I mean, they are also were born like us. We have to go there so that we can give them morale and a spirit of fighting.
Okay.
So what we call blockchain technology is actually a technology that has been in existence or built upon other technologies from back in like the 50s already, 60s, and built upon to be able to create, it's a ledger.
Okay.
It's a public ledger when you think about, but when you think about a blockchain, just think about a ledger that you would normally have for accounting that everybody can view and see the changes to in real time. And as such, it's auditable by everybody.
Okay.
And that's the way to see an actual blockchain. Whereas the way we now see it with the advent of virtual assets like Bitcoin, it's literally a block of transactions or entries on this blockchain that are linked to each other via the hashing of the previous block. So you'll have a block of transactions, and then you take this and you throw it through a hashing algorithm. It will give you a hash that then links to the next block. So then they build on top of each other like that.
I see.
And that's why we call it a blockchain.
Okay. And you mentioned Bitcoin, but that's not the only virtual asset. What makes Bitcoin special?
Correct. So firstly, Bitcoin was the first, and it was released as free and open source software, meaning that the entire code was put out, the entire code base. How to create Bitcoin was literally, it's like building a car and telling everybody this is how you build the car if you want to build it.
Okay.
And then all the rest exists because Bitcoin was built in that way. They were able to make copies of Bitcoin and then change certain things. So Bitcoin came out with no pre-mine, there was no leader, nobody knows who Satoshi was, there's no board of directors, whereas every one of these other coins has that. So if somebody wants to change something, they can. If somebody wants to confiscate your coins, they go to the leader and say, bring me, that back. Bitcoin doesn't allow for that, and that's why it cannot be stopped. So with its decentralization and all of those aspects, it's also the fact that it was built in a way that it is for the people, whereas other people built coins for themselves.
Okay.
Is the
But
easiest way to
it's a virtual currency, right?
It can act as money.
Okay.
It is, when you look at what makes some money, Bitcoin ticks all those boxes the best out of anything that has ever existed. But it also ticks the boxes out of what would be an actual store of value where you could save in the way of an asset instead of like a house, which is, again, this is property that can be taken from you because it is physical.
Yeah.
Whereas with Bitcoin, you'd have to then give up the rights of ownership for somebody to then take that from you.
And can you use it here in Namibia?
That you can. I actually just came from an establishment that accepts Bitcoin for everything on their menu. There's also places, overland rentals for motorcycles. You've got paintball. So the only reason that there are not as many places accepting Bitcoin as other countries is because people haven't said, like, I accept cash, Visa, and Bitcoin. You just have to add the Bitcoin. And in our country, according to our Virtual Assets Act, that is completely legal to do.
Speaking of the Virtual Assets Act, what is the government stance? What's the stance of Bank of Namibia in terms of Bitcoin and virtual assets?
Well, currently, it's still very much in a let's see what this is about and let's allow the populace to utilize this without trying to over-regulate it, as I won't go further than that point. But yes, over-regulation of it to then stifle. So currently the government or the Bank of Namibia's stance as far as the Virtual Assets Act, in my understanding of it, is that people are allowed to utilize Bitcoin as long as the vendor and the customer want to utilize it. That is completely all right. Yet the public must be aware that the Bank of Namibia cannot assist you if something goes wrong, because this is not a system that is their system. So again, it is that it's not illegal to utilize, but you do need licenses for certain activities that you would then do, like holding people's funds or anything like that, which would be the case with Forex or anything else.
You would also have to get a license.
You would have to get a license, a banking license, or in this case, a virtual assets. It's called a VASP, a Virtual Asset Service Provider's license. So you would, and that would depend again, as per the act is written, where you would fall in different categories, whether you would or would not need a license.
And are there currently many companies that have these licenses? Is there a lot of competition?
Well, just the beginning of this year, I think about 5 different companies were named. 2 of them for opening up exchanges.
Okay.
So virtual assets exchanges. I believe Landifa.com is one of them. I can't remember the other company. And then I think there's 3 other companies, but they are more for integration of software that they were trying to build. I'm not too sure. I still have to look up on those companies. I wasn't here when it was announced, but it was in the newspapers that there are some that have applied for their licenses and gotten provisional acceptance for license. And then in the next 6 months, that will
Let's take a
become
step
full.
back to the company that you represent, EasySats. What is that?
So EasySats is a Bitcoin-only initiative where what we endeavor to do is to help people understand what Bitcoin is, how to receive or earn Bitcoin, how to store it securely, and then how to interact with other people utilizing Bitcoin, even without us being present. So it's really a thing of trying to educate and help people understand the use cases that exist, not only internationally, but in Namibia as well.
Okay. And you're also with Bitcoin Mining Namibia. What is Bitcoin mining?
That is correct. So Bitcoin, the way that, think of it from an aspect of gold,
Okay.
for this, to make it easier. When you think about gold mining, there's a lot of effort that goes in. There's a lot of capital expenditure to make sure that you are getting out actual gold,
Yes.
right? So within Bitcoin, because it's a completely decentralized system where you don't have a central authority to dictate to you, Bitcoin in itself has to be able to verify this is real Bitcoin, and how does it go into the market? So those miners, which are actually just computers that do nothing else but mine Bitcoin in the sense of trying to figure out a certain amount of a nonce, which is like a number that they're trying to get to. Think of it like you're trying to buy a lottery ticket and you keep going back and saying, is this the number? Is this the number? Once you've actually gotten the number, it's because of the work that you've done to get to the number. And then people can say, okay, this matches up. You win the reward, which is Bitcoin. And then you're the person, as the miners, that sell Bitcoin to the rest of the exchanges and everything. That's how the everyday person gets it. It goes all the way down from that sale of winning that reward. Now, you can be a Bitcoin miner. You can buy your own miner. You can put it up. You can, do industrial size mining. Countries are mining. And in that, earning Bitcoin that they either sell out into the market or hold as an asset for that country or company.
Very interesting.